Moin Bursche, moin YOLO, was geht ab? Hallöchen Toni, jo, was geht, was geht? Ja, wir gehen mal wieder hier rein reagieren, BLIZZCON 2023, es geht heute ein bisschen weiter. Und zwar gleich in 6 Minuten circa. World of Warcraft Deep Dive, wir gehen tief rein in WoW. Dann kommt Overwatch 2. Dann Diablo 4 und dann ist eigentlich auch schon fast wieder die BLIZZCON vorbei. Hier haben wir nochmal den Zeitplan. 20 Uhr gleich WoW. Geht anscheinend 1 Stunde und 30 Minuten. Aber ja, ich glaube danach bin ich auch schon wieder offline. Also wird ein kurzer Stream. Wir gucken uns nur das WoW-Zeugs an. Und das war's dann auch schon wieder. Weil sonst, ich glaube, das war's von der BLIZZCON. Viel mehr geht da nicht ab. Hallöchen Peter, was geht, was geht? Ja, was wird jetzt hier besprochen, ist die Frage der Fragen. Nochmal WoW-Head checken. Was gibt's hier so Schönes für News? Bestimmt einiges. So, das ist alles von gestern. Das hatten wir alles. Das ist noch relativ neu, das hatten wir gestern nicht mehr. Das Cross-Realm Gilden, man kann einfach über alle Gilden oder über alle Realms mit allen Gilden raiden gehen. Mythisch auch anscheinend. Das ist krass. Also alle Surfer-Probleme anscheinend auch damit behoben. Surfer sind dann gefühlt komplett egal. Außer vielleicht für Gildenbanken oder so. Also Gilde bestimmt noch wichtig, aber trotzdem. Was steht heute an? BLIZZCON 2023 Deep Dive. Also wir gehen tief rein in WoW. Es gibt halt mehr Informationen wahrscheinlich zu The War Within. Und mehr Informationen zu Classic bestimmt auch. Alles mögliche über WoW halt einfach. Wie geht's? Mir geht's gut. Geht's heute weiter? Meinst du, es kommen neue Details? Ja, es kommen noch ein paar neue Details auf jeden Fall dazu. Like ist instant da, sollten alle direkt mal raushauen oder haben manche CD auf Like? Weiß ich nicht. Vielleicht hat da jemand Cooldown auf ein Like. Was haben wir hier? Okay. Wir haben so eine krasse Transmog-Waffe. Aus Silithus mäßig, das Schwert. Sieht schon krass aus. Sieht auf jeden Fall, ja, ist auf jeden Fall davon inspiriert. Vom Sagaras-Schwert. Holy shit. Das kann man sich dann wohl im November Handelsposten gönnen, wenn man das möchte. Okay, hier ist irgendwie Story-Zeugs. Da wird wieder ein bisschen überanalysiert. Ist aber okay. Okay, und die Traktür-Rasse kann man wohl dann auch andere Klassen mitspielen, mit dem Traktürvolk. Das ist auch gut. Holy shit, also Krieger Traktür vielleicht, Schurke Traktür, Mage Traktür bestimmt. Dann gab es so hier auch schon ein Interview. Keine Pläne für mehr Unterstützungsklassenspezialisierungen zum Launch von The War Within. Auch kein Ziel für Mythisch Plus. Es soll auch kein Ziel sein für Mythisch Plus, hier Verstärkungsrufer zu gebrauchen. Also, okay. Das ist gut. Aber in der Umsetzung natürlich schwierig. Ah, hier haben wir auch die Bestätigung. Kein 10.3, aber es wird mehr Story kommen, wie ich es schon gestern gesagt habe und vermutet habe. 10.2.5, 10.2.7 kommt, aber 10.3 wird nicht kommen. Nice, Dude. Haben wir es wieder richtig gewusst. Und es geht hier gleich los. Hauptsache kein Droide, das wäre irgendwie seltsam, beziehungsweise finde, dass es nicht passen würde. Es kommt ein neues Schlachtfeld und mehr Details dazu gibt es gleich in diesem Panel, wo wir hier schon gerade drauf sind. Nice. Heroische Talente. Okay, das bleibt alles für ein paar Erweiterungen. Also es ist wahrscheinlich nicht für immer, dass das bleibt mit den heroischen Talenten, mit den Warbands, mit diesem neuen Grabungs- oder Weltinstanzensystem. Aber es bleibt wahrscheinlich für die 3 Expansions, die angekündigt worden sind. Würde ich jetzt mal tippen. Okay, harte Sachen wie Famed Gladiator ist immer noch charakterspezifisch und es geht los. Gleich. Und Gold wird man sich teilen in dieser Warband. Bank auch. Okay, das kann ich mir schon fast denken, dass nicht so krasses Gear sein wird. Auf jeden Fall nicht Mythic Raid Level Gear. Upgrade-System Returning, okay.
BLIZZCON 2023 would like to thank our partners.
Und diese komischen Weltinstanzen, dieses komische neue Feature gibt
Omen,
eine neue Währung. Oh, nee. Wie viele Währungen denn noch, Blizzard?
Xbox,
Reicht dann auch mit den Währungen wieder eine neue Währung?
Mountain Dew Game Fuel Mist-
Keine Pläne für eine Warteschlange in diesem Weltinstanzensystem.
Nvidia
Das Ziel ist einfach, alleine reinzugehen. Oder halt irgendwelche Leute, die man spontan findet, okay? Gut.
Secret Lab, award-winning comfort engineered to support your every move.
Ja, ich sag's ja nochmal, ne? Es gibt kein Patch 10.3.
We're all gamers.
Aber 10.2.5, 10.2.7 wird es safe geben, weil man da halt die Story weiter erzählen muss. Wie dem auch sei.
Welcome back, BlizzCon. We're starting the day off right. Here's the World of Warcraft Deep Dive.
Good afternoon, BlizzCon.
Yo, Ian, was geht
So
ab?
good to be back. Whether you are here in the arena with me right in front of me, whether you're watching from elsewhere in the halls, whether you're joining us from the comfort of your home, thank you for taking the time to join me for this.
Mach ich doch gerne für dich, Ian Hasikostas.
What's coming next in the war within? I love you too.
Mach ich
I
doch
love you,
gerne.
BlizzCon. So Morgan and Maria gave you kind of a sneak peek at some of what's coming. Today I want to spend a bit more time giving you more information on the core features of War Within, as well as a few things that didn't get mentioned at all yesterday. So,
Okay.
beginning, just a little teaser there.
Da
So,
sind
to
wieder
begin, let's talk Delves.
die Delves, die
What is a delve?
Weltinstanz.
As you heard yesterday, Delves are these quick bite-sized epic adventures.
Also eigentlich sind das Szenarios aus MOP, das kennen wir schon, hatten wir schon mal. Nur anderer Name. Und ein bisschen anders halt.
If you're a healer and a tank, if you're a solo healer, we're going to make it work. We're going to meet you where you are, how you want to play. Delves are a new endgame pillar. This is a permanent addition to World of Warcraft going forward and
New
represents
endgame
kind of a
pillar.
capstone to the outdoor world experience. We've had dungeons, we've had raids, we've had organized PvP, and I think we've had some stuff for outdoor world players to dabble in. But if you wanted progression, if you wanted goals, if you wanted a deeper, more structured experience, frankly, we were letting you down. We want to change that. That's what Delves represents in World of Warcraft.
Endlich mal was Schönes.
So structuring this, really we want to approach it as something that you are going to be engaging in all season long with variety and flexibility in how you approach it, and the replayability of the content is kind of a mainstay of what it's all about. But also want to build in progression. And I think if you're an outdoor world focused player, a lot of the time it's just about kind of spending your time doing a thing, going to a place, completing an event, but there aren't necessarily goals to work towards. There aren't necessarily reasons to be excited about getting an item upgrade.
Oh, Bursche mit Cam am Start. Jo, hier bin ich. Hallo, ich bin der Spielbursche.
Delves is going to enable us to offer that. Now, there's a lot of lessons we've learned over the years from
Das ist
building this
gut.
type of content. Whether it
Sie
was
haben viel
Torghast,
gelernt von
Shadowlands,
Torghast, von den
Expeditions,
Inselexpeditionen, von
scenarios, horrific visions
Szenarios,
in that list. We've
von den
learned a lot about how to
Visionen.
tune these sorts of experiences, how to design them for flexible scaling.
Also
groups
kann das ja
with
nur
different sizes,
besser
different
werden,
role
was hier ist.
compositions,
Muss richtig geil
about,
werden,
you know,
diese
what's fun and
Delves.
what isn't. But we've also learned
Weil sie haben ja
basic feedback
gelernt.
about what not to do in some cases, in terms of how we structure,
Wir haben auch
how
gelernt,
we
was man
present it.
nicht
I
machen
think
sollte.
a key aspect of saying this
Ein
is an endgame
Schlüsselpunkt
killer is that it's
ist
an
es
offering in
natürlich.
parallel to
Ist
the
jetzt auch
others,
egal.
to dungeons,
Genug
to
mit der
raids.
Übersetzung.
If you want to do this,
Muss
if
jetzt
this
hier
is
selber
your jam,
zuhören.
if this is your type of gameplay, we're there for you, and we want this to be as deep as you want it to be. If you're happy running
Okay.
Mythic Plus and you just want to focus on that, we're not looking to add another item to the checklist of things you feel you have to do to compete. It's an alternative. Unlike Torghast, which is something that, you know, we did kind of say, everyone has to do this, whether you like it or not, whether you'd rather do something else or not. That gets back to some of the philosophies that Morgan touched on yesterday and how we're approaching designing and evolving World of Warcraft. We want to meet you where you are. We want to respect your time. We want
Habt
to
ihr schon
offer
das
you the
Shirt von
ability
denen
to
gesehen?
choose how you want to spend
Da
that
steht
time each day,
What's
each
what?
night in Azeroth.
Ist actually ein richtig cooles Shirt. Musst aber erstmal genau gucken, um das
In terms
zu
of the character
erkennen.
of Delves and what a
Ist
specific
einfach
level
da
you
das
like.
Sagaras-Schwert.
The vibe here is about
Welches
unraveling
Schwert?
mysteries, it's about exploring. It's about feeling like an extension, a seamless extension of the outdoor world experience. These are not dungeons. Every dungeon is ultimately about killing a series of bosses or boss-like encounters.
Schönen
And the
guten
dungeon's
Abend an
over
alle.
when you kill the final
Was geht, was
baddest
geht?
boss at the end of the dungeon. And that's kind of the structure that they all have to conform to. As much as we try to vary the formula a bit, that's pretty much what they're going to be. In the outdoor world, things are a bit
Okay.
different. We can, you know, break some more of the rules. And really, at the end of the day, the one consistent thing about Delves is that they're all going to end with a room full of treasure. Some of those
Perfekt.
will have a
Ich
final
mag
boss
Schätze.
guardian in front of them. Others, you may be, you know, just exploring, traversing the delve, flipping switches, solving a puzzle, defeating lieutenants, gathering things that you need to open the vault door. We can vary the gameplay, we can vary the feel of the experience. These are going to be instanced experiences, but they are seamless. When you walk up to, you know, this, as I'll show in a second, a fog door at the entrance to a cave, at the entrance to a structure, you're just going to walk in, no loading screen, and now you're in a delve. You want to make sure this
Yo,
really
what the fuck,
feels like part
Bjapsen?
of an
Vielen lieben Dank für die
extension of
50
the outdoor world.
Euro. Holy shit. Vielen lieben Dank für den Support.
Now, as part of an in-game pillar, that means we're going to tie this into seasons. So, as well as, you know, a narrative progression over the course of a given season, there will be increasing rewards, increasing difficulty, and a change of pace.
Es hört
whether
sich
you're in
alles
season
gut
1 of
an.
War Within,
Mehr
season 2, and so
Belohnungen.
forth. Part of that is going to be the
Seasons
NPC companion that will
auch.
be accompanying you on your adventures. The Season 1 companion, as we mentioned yesterday, is our good friend,
Bran Bronzebart, na klar.
Now,
Und der gute Bran
what does it mean?
Bronzebart.
What does a
Das ist ein
companion mean in
guter.
practice? Well, it's a few things. One, it's definitely a
Ich
narrative
hoffe, der
book. It's
boostet mich
a chance
dadurch,
to help
weil alleine
give-
schaffe ich das
give
nicht.
context for your adventures, kind of narrate what you're going through. But also, it's a chance to kind of play with the mechanics and complement your playstyle. As Bran adventures with you, you might find some gear for Bran. You might be able to gear Bran up. You'll be able to spec him and customize his abilities to complement what you or your friends are bringing to the group. Whether you want more survivability, whether you want help with someone to tank, whether you want more control.
Das ist halt ganz
this
cool,
can
ne?
help us balance the experience as well and give you another vector
Dass man
for your
den so
progression.
einstellen kann, dass er DPS machen kann, heilen kann, tanken kann, was man halt braucht, oder sogar mehr CC. Kann er anscheinend auch. Er kann alles. Ist der Gott, der Bran Bronzebart.
Jumping into delves in War Within. So let's say you are casually journeying across the
Ich muss lange warten auf das nächste Hardcore-Video. Mach weiter so, schönen Stream.
This structure with
Ja, ich weiß nicht,
fog door
ich habe jetzt nicht mal wirklich die
set
Zeit
into
für
it, you
WoW
decide
Classic
to venture in.
Hardcore.
So as you venture in,
Ich bin
you are,
halt
as I mentioned,
schon immer
seamlessly
der
in the delve, and
Retail-Main-Gamer
you'll find,
gewesen.
just huddled inside the entrance, a group of expedition
Also ja,
scouts
ich
who have
glaube,
come to
erstmal
this
kommt
place
kein
with their
Hardcore-WoW
rewards of
mehr.
great
Jetzt ist erstmal
secrets,
wieder
great treasures,
Retail-WoW im Fokus.
powerful relics stored within, but they've been unable to proceed further.
Mächtige
Because, they
Relikte
tell
können wir
you,
da
and Bran
holen.
is among them, mind you.
Geil.
They tell you this place, there's an unnatural, there's a disturbing darkness that has settled over this entire
eine
vault,
Dunkelheit
and
ist
we
da.
can't proceed. Fortunately, they have in their
Das ist
possession
schlecht.
a relic that they have brought that is an enchanted candle that can light the way. It has a little light
Eine
radius around
Kerze
it.
kann uns aber
If
den
you think
Weg
back to
ebnen mit
the Vault of the
Licht.
Warden's dungeon, if you remember that in Legion, what the basement was like, where it really felt like just like a dark, scary place, but you could have this beacon in the darkness to guide your
Nice.
way. You have one of those.
Sehr geil.
They
Durch
tell
die
you,
Dunkelheit,
it's very limited
Dunkelheit wieder
fuel.
mit bisschen Licht
They dare
gehen.
not proceed on their own because they worry they're just going to get trapped in the darkness and destroyed by the terrors within. But you, of course,
Haust du
being
rein?
the
Ich bin
champion
dabei
who's
auch bei
belong, you're
Retail.
up to
Ja,
the
nice. Haust du
So you
rein,
take that candle
Kollege.
with its light
Und
radius
danke
that
nochmal
will
für die
begin to
50
shrink
Euro.
progressively as your limited fuel burns, and you take some steps into the delve. Now, who do you find in here? Well, as it happens, you run across fellows like this guy.
Wer ist denn das?
Yeah, more jacked than your
Ein
average kobold,
Kobold-Typ.
but there's a lot of kobolds in here.
Aber der hat
And as you
Muskeln.
know, as any
Der
World
hat
of Warcraft player
gepumpt.
knows,
Jo.
where you find kobolds, you're going to find candles. And this guy's going to put up a
Du
fight,
nicht nehmen
but
Kerze,
it being World of
endlich
Warcraft and all,
mehr
you're
zu
going to
den
take his candle.
Kollegen. Es
And
gibt
you're
ja auch
gonna
irgendwie
take
einen
the candles of his
Kerzenkönig, ne?
allies
In
in
dem
this
neuen Dungeon dann,
And,
aber
you
das
know,
ist jetzt
that
nicht
will
da.
help fuel
In
this
den
magic
Delves,
light
aber da
that you
sind wahrscheinlich
have,
auch
help
Kobolde,
keep
wa?
the light burning so that you can traverse the entire delve, defeat a couple of lieutenant-type enemies,
Endlich
bosses,
Kobold-Story,
solve a
let's
puzzle or
go.
two, and at the end, you make your way into the vault room that Bran is able to open once you bring him there, and you find this mock-up, work in
Japsen
progress
gönnt
of
50
a treasure
Euro.
room, heaping with riches, treasure chests of various shapes and sizes. Some of the smaller ones, you can just walk up and open, collect a range of items, currency,
Oh,
rewards, you name
Schätze.
it.
Guckt euch
But
das
you'll find a
an.
couple of extra large,
Können wir
resplendent
schöne
chests
Schätze
in
wieder
this room.
looten.
Those may require
Das
special
wird
keys
sehr
to open.
geil.
Now, those keys you would obtain from doing kind of outdoor
So wie die
content,
Schatzkammer.
weekly quests.
Nur noch
They're a
mehr
bit more
Schätze.
limited in how you can get them, but also allow us to offer and pace out the best rewards. They're on par with some other endgame content to make sure it's not, you know, infinitely grindable or anything like that, but it's an extension of your outdoor world loop if this is your playstyle. Now, let's say you come back to the same delve on another day. You might find that there isn't a magical darkness settled over the place. Instead, there are earthen locked in battle with kobolds, and you can help turn the tide of that fight as you work your way through, dealing with some different challenges along the way.
Hier ist es immer nicht,
Variety, replayability, lots of layers to the experience.
es ist nicht immer das gleiche, sondern immer verschieden. Von
So
Tag
you
zu
venture
Tag.
back out into the zone, heading off to a different corner of it, and you come across this cave surrounded by mushrooms. It's known in legends
Ist
as
anscheinend auch nicht
Fallen.
immer die gleiche Höhle quasi,
Maybe
sondern
not being
immer
the wisest
woanders auch.
adventure, that sounds like a great place to enter, so you take
Das
a
ist
few steps
nice.
forward.
Kann man machen.
In here, you might find an environment where, whether it's due to unusual ores or whatever in the walls, the rules of gravity are a bit topsy-turvy. And you'll find mushrooms scattered around the cave that you can use as basically jump pads to help navigate the environment, to skip over
Das
enemies
ist
you want to avoid,
nice.
to reach high up ledges that you couldn't otherwise get to. You're starting to get the
Irgendwelche
idea,
Pilze benutzen, um
this
höher
is
springen
more
zu
the
können,
world
wo man
as
irgendwo
toy
hin muss.
vibe that we try to play with when we're creating outdoor events, outdoor spaces. These are not mechanics you'd necessarily find in a dungeon, but I think the team really is unshackled, is freed.
Okay, da
to
gibt's
explore a
Mechaniken, die
wider
man
array
nicht
of gameplay
unbedingt
when we're building
in
delves.
Dungeons findet, aber dafür halt dann in diesen
So
Delves.
let's talk a bit more
Also mehr
about the
Jumping,
loot.
mehr andere
So actually,
Mechaniken
before I
halt.
talk about the loot, sorry, these are
Finde
the
ich gut.
12 delves that we currently have planned, scattered throughout the 4 zones, each themed around
Das
the
sind die
ecology,
ganzen
each themed around the
Delves.
settings that you're going to find. Now, some of the attentive among you may be saying,
ist
wait a minute,
ordentlich, würde ich sagen, für
Morgan
einen
said there were
Launch.
13 delves yesterday. He might be right, but there also might be a secret delve that you have to explore a bit more to discover. That awaits you. So yeah, loot.
Also erstmal nur 12, gestern wurden 13 gesagt, aber es scheint anscheinend einen geheimen zu geben, den man irgendwie freischalten muss mit Secrets, Geheimnisse und so.
Brethren have also had the pleasure to enjoy. We just want to make sure you don't feel left out. So,
Yo, der hat schon den neuen Raid, 7 Bosse im Neruba-Palast auf heroisch gekillt. Holy shit.
And really that is enshrining these 3 PvE pillars: raids, dungeons, world.
Damn. Ach, guck mal, und da unten Delve ist halt auch in der Schatzkammer, ne? Das ist neu.
Our thinking in terms of the rewards here, this is all subject to tuning, is that this should
Ist
range
nice.
to, let's say, end boss
Für
heroic
jeden
raid,
Spieler was dabei,
mythic 10
um
to
dann halt in der
15 type
Schatzkammer auch
range,
was freizuschalten
accessible
und dann
just
zu
via
looten am
solo
Mittwoch.
progression. Far better loot than you've ever been able to get before.
Nice, mehr Loot. Let's go.
And now, I'm sure this is, I know this is the delve section, but I'm sure there's folks looking at this and being like, wait a minute, what about the PvP row?
Genau, wo ist denn die PvP-Reihe hin?
Don't worry, we got you.
Okay, aber
we
er hat
are
uns...
removing the PvP row from the vault.
Okay, die wird
We're doing
entfernt von der
Based
Schatzkammer.
largely on feedback that we've heard,
Die
that
PvP-Reihe.
randomness and PvP gearing maybe are not the best combination. I know it took a few years to get that message through to us.
Es ist also nicht gut für PvP durch Randomness sozusagen an Gear zu kommen. Gutes Gear. Man kriegt mehr Eroberungspunkte generell. Man hat komplette Kontrolle anscheinend im PvP, dass man halt wirklich nicht so krass auf zufällige Gegebenheiten angewiesen ist. Nice. Ist gut für die PvP, ja, aber ich spiele eh kein PvP mehr. Aber vielleicht spiele ich ja dann mal wieder, mal gucken.
Hopefully, just good news for everyone. Now, aside from, just power, also you get silly hats. Nothing more to say here. It's just...
Geil, Pilzköpfe, Kerzenköpfe und noch irgendwelche
Köpfe.
Köpfe.
A few examples of the array of cosmetic rewards that will be exclusive to delves,
Holy
reflecting
shit.
the varied ecologies and environments you're going to be
Ach, und das
facing.
kriegt man anscheinend Transmog aus
silly
den
hats, World of
Delves.
Warcraft. Less silly, just
ist
as
das?
say, Mythic Plus players have a mount that they can earn over the course of a given season, this customizable flying mount will be exclusively available through thorough completion of the delve experience. You know the customizability of it. This will be customizable the same way you can customize your current dragon riding drakes at the rostrum.
Das ist das Mount, was man in Delves bekommen kann. Und das kann man alles vollkommen anpassen auch. Nice, ein schönes
Cool. I
Mount.
love our artists.
Exklusives Mount für die Delves.
Up next.
Für die Weltinstanz.
I feel like I could probably just save 10 minutes this panel by just saying account wide everything and just click through the next slides.
Ja, dann sagt es doch einfach.
Kind of that. So,
Einfach alles accountübergreifend.
turns out y'all play a lot of alts. I'm sure
Playing
that the number of characters
alts
per
is
person
the
in this
norm
room in
today.
particular
Für mich
is
nicht
some
wirklich.
Insane average. But the average WoW player today plays multiple characters.
Ja.
Two-thirds of players who have a level
Oh,
70
wow.
have multiple level 70s. Half of players have 3 or more. Most people are playing multiple characters a week.
Ich habe zwar 75er, glaube ich, aber ich spiele nur einen so richtig.
Part of that is because World of Warcraft 20 years ago was built with very different assumptions. And I both mean design-wise, but actually engineering-wise as well. The infrastructure and the architecture that was built. Back then, it took hundreds of hours to level a single character, of course, and playing alt seriously was far, far from the norm. But we've kind of inherited, we're still working with, we have been working with those foundations to this day. And so when we get requests for them, when we talk about alt friendliness, we try to do it, but we're often working against, we're swimming upstream, given the underpinnings of a system that were never designed for this. And that's why you get some, frankly, pretty clunky solutions, like, well, if you want to transfer this currency to your alt, go to a vendor and spend some to buy a different box that contains account-bound currency that you can then mail to yourself, log out, log back in, take the box out of your mailbox, and open it on your alt. Congratulations, you have moved 300 supplies. Elegant design, ladies and gentlemen. What if we didn't have to do that? So at its core, Warbands is, what if we just rebuilt those foundations and created a new future, both for the things we want to offer today and the things we'll be able to in the future, so we're not fighting against the nature of the system, but instead it complements what we want to do. Now, the focus here is really making it convenient, removing barriers, removing awkwardness in playing.
Klingt logisch, macht Sinn, leuchtet ein.
Encourage it. People already want to do it if they do it. One thing the system is not going to be is something that awards you power or makes your main more effective because you have done things on other characters or anything along those lines. If you want to play alts, do so. If you just love focusing on a single character, that shouldn't feel wrong either.
Nice.
Let's talk about some examples.
Okay, jetzt ein paar Beispiele. Ah, die Bank wird geteilt.
So, I'm going to run through these pretty quickly.
Über
They're
alle
mostly fairly
Charaktere.
straightforward. It's a bank. It's an account-wide bank.
Nice. Eine accountweite Bank.
You should never again have to mail something to yourself.
Aber nur eine? Nee, da rechts kann man anscheinend noch weitere kaufen.
This is giant, lots of storage, extra tabs that can be purchased on the right-hand side, so multiple
Digga, wie viel soll man denn da einlagern? Da kannst du ja alles einlagern.
The eagle-eyed will notice a little checkbox mentioning reagents. If you deposit reagents here,
Heilige
you can
Mutter
grab
Maria
from the
Gottes,
account-wide storage
Jesus
of any of your
Christus.
characters. Next up, maybe a little new thing. Something that you might put in this account-wide storage are the ability we will now have to create war-bound items that are war-bound until equipped. You might get an item that you can't sell in the auction house or trade, but that you can give to any of your other characters for their use.
Uff, das ist wild. Also es gibt seelengebundene Items, aber die kannst du theoretisch an deinen anderen Charaktere schicken über die Warbands, aber nur an deine anderen Charaktere.
Again, we want to make sure the right way to play is not, playing on multiple characters to funnel loot to your main to gear up your main faster. But just easy potential hand-me-downs.
Das werden safe die World First Raider aber machen, weil die krank sind.
If you get a really cool item for a class that you haven't had a chance to get up yet. So just an extra layer here.
Ach du Scheiße, das eröffnet wieder viele Möglichkeiten für die absoluten Top-Mythisch-Gilden-Schwitzer.
Alright, now quick rundown of some of the other integrations we have planned. Transmog. Transmog has always been, it's been for a long time an account-wide collection. Key thing here now that really it is being acquired by your warband. That means that now if you were running, let's say, Ulduar on your mage and a pair of plate shoulders drop, you can still add those plate shoulders to your warband collection.
Damn, nur gute News hier.
And then, if you log on your warrior later, your warrior can equip them, you're good to go. Hopefully you don't need to feel like you need to refarm the same stuff on as many different armor types anymore.
Na endlich.
Again, fairly straightforward. In War Within, reputations and renowns will work account-wide. We want to make this as retroactive as possible. That
Wissen wir schon.
Work over time. We're probably going to start with Dragonflight renowns as a focus and a priority and work our way backwards. But going forward, we want progress earned on reputation.
Hier, was wichtig zu erwähnen ist, hier die alten Rufdinger, zum Beispiel jetzt aus Shadowlands zum Beispiel, die sind anscheinend noch nicht da in Warbound oder im Warband, die teilt man sie noch nicht, aber alle jetzt, die folgenden Ruffraktionen, die jetzt kommen, die sind safe drinne, dass es halt accountweiter Ruf / Ruhmstufen sind. Aber das davor so Shadowlands-Zeugs, MOP, das ist anscheinend dann noch nicht drin. Das machen die erst dann nach und nach, versuchen die das reinzubringen. Das haben, glaube ich, viele nicht auf dem Schirm und nicht mitbekommen, aber hat er jetzt gerade hier gesagt nochmal.
And here's an example of something new, just delves. An example of how having this as a foundation means that we can build new systems to inherently work at an account-wide level, just kind of as part of their DNA. As you are advancing Bran as a companion, as you are empowering him, as you're customizing him, again, logging on to a different character and going back to having a weaker Bran that doesn't offer the tools that you've grown accustomed to, that's more frustrating than fun to re-earn those things. Let's make that progression inherently warband level, inherently account. And achievements. We've had account-wide achievements for a long time. No secret, they have the little blue bar over them, indicating that they function at an account-wide level. What warbands allows us to do is kind of invert that paradigm and change the vast majority of our achievements to be account-wide, to have that actually be the new default. So if you do part of this PvP,
das wäre gut, ja.
Other achievement on one character, part of it on another, your warband can earn the achievement. Once your warband earns it, you've earned it. Again, you the player are doing the thing.
Das ist halt sehr, sehr nice, ne? Da habe ich auch teilweise Probleme mit gehabt und habe teilweise doppelt Zeugs gemacht, weil ich den Charakter gewechselt habe. Oi. Okay, da ist die gute alte Warband. Ein Camp kann man da sogar so rechts erstellen. Das sind die dann alle, die drinnen sind.
But just in terms of presentation, what you'll see when you log into World of Warcraft with multiple characters is a selection of your favorite characters huddled around a campfire or another setting. You'll still have your full list accessible.
Krass, da sitzen die so im Camp.
You, the player, have this cast of characters that if you want to dress them all up in consistent transmogs.
Das ist auf jeden Fall eine coole Neuerung.
One thing you might note here.
Egal auf welchen Charakter man irgendwas macht, man macht einfach immer Fortschritte. Für Achievements, für Transmogs, für Ruf.
Sorry. But you will note that the Evoker is level 13. That's going to be a thing that's possible because they'll start at level 10. But because Dragonflight's going to be the new leveling expansion, by the way, going forward.
Evoker starten auf Stufe 10. Wenn das Add-on released. Und Dragonflight wird die neue Level-Experience sein. Die Standard, so wie BFA, glaube ich, aktuell. Oder vielleicht auch Shadowlands, keine Ahnung, wie es aktuell ist. Das ist gut, was soll man dazu sagen? Außer Daumen nach oben. Ist gut. Hero Talents.
For us, as we continue to evolve and advance our class system, to explore some deeper class fantasies, to look at iconic archetypes like the Farseer or the Dark Ranger or the Mountain King, or others often inspired by major heroes in the Warcraft universe, other times by fantasies that we've heard are really resonant with players, and focus the continued expansion of our classes in that space. Now, Morgan said this yesterday, just to restate. This is a completely flexible system. It's as flexible as your current talents and specs. Nothing like covenants or anything like that. Anytime you could change your talents today, you can change your hero spec, you can swap around your hero talents. They're just talents.
Ja, man kann alles ändern, perfekt.
But we want to do so, frankly, while managing complexity to a certain extent. When we started planning for War Within, we knew we're going to raise the level cap by 10. 10 new levels means 10 new talent points. The kind of default option for us would have been to take the existing class and spec trees and just add a couple more rows to each of them, add new points to spend. But we've been down that path before. We know exactly where that leads 15 years ago. There's a tremendous amount, there's an insane amount of like multiplicative combinatoric complexity from adding those additional options.
Genau das meine ich
also
halt.
destroys some carefully constructed choices that are really successful.
So viel Komplexität. Not good.
Have all of these things and need to, pick one or the other. Suddenly when you can get all
Aber was machen sie jetzt anders mit diesem System?
So this approach allows us to both explore deeper class fantasy while focusing the decision space in a way that offers power without that excessive complexity. So the way it's generally going to work is a third talent tree. Again, as mentioned yesterday, at the center of your screen, you have class, you have talent, and in the middle, you have hero talents. You'll note, so there are 10 nodes. There's an initial node that you get as a starter node at the top that you'll get initially when you unlock the system at 71. And then 10 more nodes to unlock.
Mit 71 schaltet man uns das Feature frei.
At level 80, you will have this fully unlocked, similar to Legion artifacts, let's say. So you don't have to agonize over, where you're placing any choice along the way. Now, the choices that you will make are which hero spec do you want active, and also there will be choice nodes within the trees, just as the class trees and the.
Das Coole ist halt, mit Level 80 hat man einfach alles geskillt. Deswegen muss man nicht so krass überlegen, was nimmt man jetzt, weil wenn man 80 ist, hat man eh Angst.
You can just condense it down to only show the choice nodes for easy swapping back and forth to customize your spec for whatever activity you're setting out to do. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to quickly walk through a couple of trees.
Man macht aber trotzdem halt, man muss eine Wahl treffen, indem man quasi wählen muss, welchen Spec man genau spielen möchte. Aber es ist nicht so mega krass komplex. Das ist gut.
Part of why the team starts with druids is because y'all are complicated. We figure there's 4 specs, 3 roles. We figure let's try some of the hardest cases first when proving out a design. It's nothing against the mages, warlocks, paladins, etc. But there's a reason why you probably tend to see more druid examples than other classes, because we figure if we can make it work for druids, the rest will be okay. The 2 options available to a balanced druid are this Keeper of the Grove tree and Eludens Chosen. Keeper of the Grove is available to balance and restoration. Balloons Chosen is available to Balance and Guardian. The former focuses on calling the forest to your aid, on summoned treants, and augmenting their abilities and what using that cooldown means for your gameplay. Balloons Chosen focuses on augmenting your lunar abilities, many of the arcane damage, moon-themed abilities for both specs.
Macht
Let's look
Sinn.
at the Keeper of the Grove tree
Ist halt so
first.
die Klassenfantasie, ne?
The first node that you're going to get as you just opt in is just kind of a baseline improvement to your throughput while treants are out across the board. This just kind of emphasizes
Ist eigentlich egal, ist halt ein passiver Effekt, den man eh immer hat. Weil ich glaube, man muss nur die Wahl treffen zwischen, wo hier diese Pfeile sind. Guck, alles Passive, das hat man eh. Wenn man 80 ist irrelevant, das wird man eh einfach skillen. Aber hier bei diesen Pfeilen, da muss man immer eine Wahl treffen. Also wenn man sich das mal so anguckt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Passive. Und vier Talente muss man dann, kann man glaube ich wählen zwischen mehreren. Ja, hier eine Choice Node. Da muss man halt dann wählen, entweder das oder das. Aber das sind auch, wie man sehen kann, eher passive Effekte, keine aktiven, die man drücken muss. Ja, da würden einfach die Klassen-Discords reingeguckt, was ist das Beste, und dann nimmt man das.
But the idea is 4 different opportunities to nudge your gameplay in one direction or another within this tree. A capstone talent, again, is often likely
auch das ist passiv. Selbst das ganz unten ist halt passiv, ne? Hat man eh auf 80.
Having the treants out is going to be a peak, a spike in your potential, something that you're going to plan around and just amplify the overall benefits that you're achieving from.
Also finde ich actually gut, dass es nicht so kompliziert ist. Es ist actually relativ easy dann da alles zu skillen einfach und ja, dann in der, auch hier wieder, einmal passive. Hier haben wir sogar nur 3, wo man eine Wahl treffen muss.
This is now something that you can really count on and plan around as you approach your gameplay. On the Moonkid side, this of course adds an extra layer to planning and throughput in your rotation. Noting a couple of these things that we're modifying may be deeper optional talents in your existing spec trees. We also, where we can, want to offer ways to make sure that you can trigger those effects even if you don't have the baseline talent, though you'll probably want to as well. So this talent just has Fury of Elune triggered as you're doing your regular rotation when you Moonfire, both just naturally, it's a powerful effect that's going to fire more frequently, but also to the extent that the rest of
Eigentlich muss man da gar nicht so viel erklären, ich finde ein bisschen kompliziert, weil, ja, es ist gar nicht so kompliziert, wie das jetzt rüberkommt, würde ich mal behaupten. Ist relativ easy zu verstehen.
That is further reinforcing these core already been augmented. Leave this slide up for a while. These are our
Mage,
plans
Sun Fury, Frostfire, Spellslinger. Ui.
Cool fantasies here to explore.
Ist auf jeden Fall cool.
Really curious to hear community feedback on all these, which are exciting, which are most resonant.
Priester, Voidweaver, Orakel, Archon.
You hoped you
Damn,
see on here that you're not seeing on here. We are, well
da kann man halt seine Klasse so halt noch weiter ausbauen. Und halt auf etwas Spezielles spezialisieren. Alles noch in Arbeit, kann sich alles noch ändern.
Prone to iteration, and for no part of the game is the community input more essential than class design, spec design. To that end, when we move into our alpha, probably in the spring,
Alpha wahrscheinlich im Frühling.
If not all of these hero specs playable from the start, so that we have the entire alpha and beta window to iterate on them, to replace the things that aren't working, to dial them all in to where everyone's going to be excited about what they're getting and more within. It's a long road ahead. We can't wait to share that journey with you and really just collaborate, discuss back and forth every step of the way. Right.
Andere
Some you've
Features.
heard about, some you haven't.
Mal gucken.
First off,
Okay, das wissen wir schon.
you get to be an Earthen.
Yay, wir können ein Irdener Zwerg sein,
Also,
wie
blinged
die
out
aus
orbs, or
Ulduar.
maybe not so blinged out if you want to customize them differently. These are going to be earned just by playing through the War Within campaign fully.
Die kann man einfach freischalten, einfach durchspielen durch die Kampagne von The War Within. Und dann sind die freigeschaltet. Die schaltet wahrscheinlich jeder frei, einfach on the way, wenn man auf 80 Level.
First contact in essence, you're going to learn about the nature of their problems, the nature of their culture. You're going to work with them to overcome those problems, win their trust. And at the end of that journey, it will make sense. It will be a natural next step for them to lend you their aid and join you as either Horde or Alliance. So yes, Horde Dwarves.
Hordenzwerge, das wird ein bisschen komisch, aber okay.
We haven't yet finalized what their racial abilities are going to be, but the available classes, 10 out of the 13 available classes.
Oh mein Gott.
Everything but Druid,
Die
Demon
haben-
Hunter, and Evoker.
Die haben bestimmt OP-Volksfähigkeiten, oder? Die können aber nicht Dämoniker, nicht Druiden und nicht Rufer werden, aber sonst können die alles sein.
Right. Dynamic Flight.
Dragon Riding, yes dude, das bleibt. Bestes Feature von Dragonflight, habe ich schon in der Beta ein Video zu gemacht.
So it was obvious very early on in Dragonflight, probably before Dragonflight even released in
Ja.
beta, that we could never go back to how it used to be.
Ja,
Honestly, we hoped that would be the outcome. We hoped the feedback
Weil das
would be,
einfach
this is so awesome.
geiler
We just
als
want this to
Dragon
be how
Ride.
flying works forever.
ist einfach
But
best.
we immediately began
Viel
making
schneller,
plans for what that would mean.
viel
Because,
moderner.
yeah, it's the only way to go. And so, yeah, dragon riding is going to become the default, no longer just dragons, but dynamic flight now in War Within.
Eben, das heißt
and
wohl
beyond.
Dynamic Flight.
We wanna make sure.
Nicht nur Drachen kann man das mitmachen,
I
sondern
meant to
mit
have two
anderen
mounts
Mounts
here,
wohl
but I only
auch.
see ashes on the right. But anyway, the key point being, we want to expand this
Stimmt,
to
Al-As
the broader
Asche ist
array
eigentlich
of
auch ein
mounts that
Drache.
become available.
Ah,
I think
vielleicht
the
ein
only
Phönix.
downside of dragon
Aber ja.
riding, as it exists today, is that you don't have much reason to use so many of the mounts that
Aber
are
mit
your favorite
unbesiegbar
visually, aesthetically,
Drachenreiten,
that you've
uff,
earned
das
and
wird
done so
wild,
much
aber
to
das wird auf jeden Fall
collect.
kommen.
You wanna make sure that
Mit
as much
anderen
of your
Mounts
collection
und nicht nur
is
mit
viable as
Drachen,
possible.
auch Drachen reiten
So
zu
not
können.
every single flying mount is going to be able to support dynamic flight. There's some animation logistics to work
aber
with
nicht
there, but
jedes.
as many as we can. It's a
Aber
three-digit
so
number.
viele, wie
We
die
want a
halt
very
schaffen.
wide array of mounts being able to just fly the way you've always, enjoyed with
Das
the
ist
dragons.
gut. Nice, nice, nice. Weil war auch ein bisschen komisch. Aktuell sind die anderen Mounts alle
Just to
useless.
clarify, this is the future of flying. So everywhere that you can fly today, you will be able to dynamically fly or dragon ride.
Das ist die Zukunft vom
In fact,
Fliegen
not
im
just in
WoW.
the
Das
War
wird
Within,
immer
little
überall
sneak peek, I think
sein.
in our upcoming 10.2.5 update, you'll be able to dragon ride in Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, Outland,
Oh,
you name it.
nice. In 10.2.5 können wir überall Dynamic fliegen. In östliche Königreiche,
We also
Kalimdor,
want to
Nordend
understand
und
there are some folks,
Überall.
For accessibility reasons, personal preference reasons, maybe you just
Aber das war eigentlich auch schon klar, weil die da diese
that, dragon riding isn't your favorite. We don't want to
Cups
take anything away.
gemacht
We
haben.
want to let all these mounts that can currently do the old school flying mode toggle between dragon riding or let's call it TBC flying.
Okay.
Up to you, whatever you prefer.
Man kann aber auch normal fliegen. Da gibt es wohl dann so einen Schalter, kann man hin und her wechseln.
And again, to be clear, dynamic flight will be available from the very start when you go to Castlegar in the Isle of Dorne, just as it was in Dragonflight.
Wunderbar. Es ist direkt in der ersten Zone von The War Within auch verfügbar, Dynamic Flight.
Old school TBC flying, Pathfinder style, will not be available right away, but it will be unlocked shortly after reaching max level with no reputation grind requirements. Just play through the campaign, explore the continents, then you can fly that way as well.
Aber das normale Fliegen wird in der neuen Zone, Kasselgarten, scheint erstmal nicht verfügbar sein, sondern erst dann auf Stufe 80 kann man es relativ schnell dann aber auch freischalten.
Pivot that to a bit more of something that's evergreen. Some of those unlocked traits may change to only work within the Dragon Isles. Others that are more essential to just the experience feeling good, like vigor increases, regenerates, the active abilities, are just going to be things that you will inherently get as you earn dynamic flight and level up naturally. We don't want down the line players to feel like they have to go back to an old expansion and fly around and collect a bunch of glyphs just to be able to explore the new expansion. And
Ist
in
auch
that vein,
gut.
this is going to be the new default for leveling players. I mentioned earlier, when War Within comes out, instead of BFA,
Ja, macht Sinn.
Dragonflight will be the new leveling experience that you merge into as a new player after you leave Exile's Reach. And so you're going to get dragon riding very early in that
Das
experience.
neue dynamische
As you just
Fliegen
level
ist
up
auch für
gain
neue
player
Spieler
levels,
direkt mit
you will
dabei.
improve your flight ability and get all the vigor perks and everything else that everyone has come to expect.
Weil, also sorry,
That's
das
gonna
ist
be
aber
how the game
einfach auch
works
das
as a
bessere Fliegen.
baseline.
Also wer
This
dieses
is what flight is.
TBC-Flying mehr mag als das dynamische Fliegen oder Drachenreiten, keine Ahnung. Das neue Fliege- oder Flugsystem, whatever, ist einfach besser.
This is long overdue. We really
halt
we should have
schneller,
been doing
ne?
this earlier. So there's a new battleground coming
neues
in War Within.
Schlachtfeld.
It is a 10v10 map set in the
10
Ringing Deeps.
vs 10.
This is
Im zweiten Gebiet
inspired
von
by Silvershore
The War
Mines with a few
Within.
twists. The Ringing Deeps are a place that's full of natural resources, that's very sort of thing that the Horde Alliance will be likely to skirmish over. I'm going to show you a
Ja, das
very
ist halt so ein
rough,
Minengebiet.
kind of like top-down mock-up of the layout here. The
Passt
idea is,
schon.
unlike Silvershard Mines, which is radial symmetry,
Aber-
this is more, mirrored.
Ja, das sind auch so
and
Schienen.
reflects the two sides trying to both push their own minecarts to collect resources.
Minecarts,
while
guck mal,
also
ich hatte sogar
finding
recht.
over a hidden
Minecraft
central
spielen,
control
let's go.
point That's going to change the outcome and the momentum
Im
of the match.
Schlachtfeld,
This is something
Minecraft
that the team
spielen.
has actually been playtesting internally a bunch over the last couple of weeks, having a blast with. When we make battleground maps, we don't really artify them. We keep them really rough, which is why
Krass.
they don't have any good images to show just yet, because it really is all about the layout. There's no point making it look pretty if the spacing isn't correct, if the exact paths aren't correct. That's going to be the next step. Can't wait to get this in front of everybody to start testing in alpha and beyond. And this isn't just a one-off. We want to keep adding new battleground maps going forward. This is an essential part of the game.
Okay, die wollen in Zukunft noch mehr Schlachtfelder raushauen.
I mentioned 10v10, but we are just about to undertake a little 8v8
Wieder mehr
solo
Fokus auf
queue RPG
PvP.
experiment
Oh, shit.
in 10.2 in a week or two. So depending on how that goes, you may be experiencing this one 8v8 as well. So stay tuned.
Mache ich, danke dir, Ian Hasekostas.
Otherwise, we have a few ongoing interface updates that we're continuing to work on. In Dragonflight, we overhauled the HUD, the action bars, the unit frames, the baseline UI experience. We made it clear at the time that that was just the beginning. This is something we want to continue chipping away at, updating different pieces of the UI to be more streamlined, better reflective of the modern gameplay experience. So just a couple of examples here. So the Spellbook, we are looking to modernize, update, actually make use of more than like a 1024
Ein
by
neues
768 monitor
Zauberbuch.
resolution. Ideally, you're not going to have to flip through multiple pages to find
Damit man nicht so
stability
krass
on
viel durch die
action
Seiten
bars.
scrollen muss.
Also, we're combining this with our talent screen. If you look at the tabs at the bottom, you have spec, talents, and spells all in one place. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for all the things that your character has available, rather than having two separate windows that you need to move between.
Ist gut. Sehr, sehr gut.
Some light updates here.
Was haben wir denn hier?
Improving the overall aesthetic of the quest log, the quest window. If this is harder to show off just in a single screenshot, but we are adding a bunch
Ja,
of filters.
sieht
to
auf jeden
allow
Fall ein
you to
bisschen
hide
neuer
and
aus,
show
das
different
Questlog.
objectives, to see more quests available at once, to filter
Sonst
your
noch
logs
irgendwas
for things
neu?
you
Nee,
care
ne?
about
Das ist ja
most.
eh armiert
Also a full
rasiert.
pass in progress on our quest iconography to make it easier to differentiate between daily and weekly quests and remove our reliance on just shades of color as much as we do, which really it is a color blindness issue for
Ja.
the range of quest bangs where the only difference is what color it is. And again, this is just a couple of examples of ongoing efforts. This is a project that will never be done. We're just going to continue improving and updating different aspects of the UI as we go.
Ist nice. Also ich hatte jetzt nicht so Probleme mit, aber andere, die vielleicht farbenblind sind oder so, leider
So this one
Gottes,
basically
da,
speaks for
ja.
itself.
Für die ist das sehr, sehr
I
nice.
mentioned earlier, your warband
Damit die
is
da
a
besser alles
construct,
unterscheiden können und.
Increasingly, so many of the activities that players engage in socially span multiple realms. You have a raid group, you have a Mythic Plus group that you run with, group that you PvP with, but you can't be in the same guild together. not any longer. That's a thing that will change when War Within comes out. Apply, recruit, server shouldn't matter when it comes to joining a guild, when it comes to being in a guild, when it comes to accessing the perks of being in a guild. And people may be wondering, wait a minute, what does that mean if now guilds are cross-realm? What about Mythic raiding?
Yay!
If your guild is cross-realm and your guild wants to raid Mythic, you should be able to do that day one. So,
Mythisch
no
raiden,
more realm restrictions there.
realmübergreifend. Von Tag 1.
The Hall of Fame will still exist, just kind of as a memorial of accomplishment, but it's not going to be tied to unlocking anything anymore. That's just there day one. And really, just philosophically, this is another step towards one of our goals of just tearing down barriers, making the game as social as possible, making it as easy as possible to play with who you want to play with, regardless of your server, regardless of your faction. As much as possible, if you want to play WoW with somebody, let's make that happen.
Ist gut. Sehr, sehr gut.
All right, so that brings us to the end of this whirlwind tour / deep dive of War Within features.
Okay.
There's still a bunch of questions, a bunch more information to share. Can't wait to do that in the coming days and weeks. But to begin, I'd like to invite everybody, if you have questions, if you're here at BlizzCon, go to the Darkmoon Fair in Hall D. You can drop off questions there. If you're going online, you can go to the WoW or WoW Classic subreddits or our official forums and either ask your questions there or upvote others. This coming week, when we get back to the office, we're going to huddle, review the top questions, and record streams for both Classic and for War Within, addressing the top questions to try to get as much information out there as possible. So.
Also wenn ihr Fragen habt, ne, könnt ihr die stellen. Auf Reddit, im Forum, überall. Und die Fragen, die am meisten Likes haben oder hochgevotet wurden, die werden wahrscheinlich genommen.
Can't wait for the War Within. Enjoy the rest of BlizzCon. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I love you all.
Wunderbar. Kommt jetzt noch Classic? Das war's schon, oder was? Schaut so aus,
BlizzCon
wa?
2023 would like to thank our partners. Xbox, power your dreams. Omen, game life.
Erstmal rein like.
HTC Vive Mars, virtual production made simple.
Okay, aber jetzt...
Intel.
Okay, ging doch nur 45 Minuten. Ja, krass. Ein paar News waren auf jeden Fall dabei, die wir noch nicht kannten. Das ist gut. Sehr, sehr interessant auf jeden Fall. Aber was ich euch mal sagen wollte, also... Es schaut wirklich so aus, dass wir jetzt schneller Erweiterungen bekommen, weil ihr seht ja, 10.3 wird auch nicht kommen. Wird nicht passieren, dass das kommt. Und man hat halt jetzt so das Gefühl, also eine Erweiterung, Launch ist viel wichtiger für die als Patches innerhalb einer Erweiterung dann. Deswegen einfach immer auf schnelle Welle neue Erweiterungen rausbringen. Paar Features reinhauen, die man vielleicht vorher in Patches gebracht hat, um dann halt schneller Erweiterungen auch vielleicht sogar jährlich zu bringen. Bin mir nämlich sicher, nachdem nachdem The War Within gelauncht ist, offiziell, sind die schon hart am Arbeiten an der nächsten Erweiterung Midnight. Und die Patches, die haben sie vielleicht schon vorher während der Entwicklung von The War Within geplant. Damit sie sich halt mehr auf diese ganzen Erweiterungen fokussieren können. Spielt wahrscheinlich am Ende des Tages auch mehr Geld in die Kassen rein oder ein. Und deswegen, ja, WoW Retail jetzt anscheinend immer mehr Erweiterungen auf schnelle Welle bringen. Wichtig und richtig. Und nicht mehr so viele Patches. Weil, falls ihr es noch nicht mitbekommen habt, Patch 10.3 wird nicht kommen. Hier ist es offiziell bestätigt von Morgan Day. Aber es kommt noch 10.2.5, 10.2.7, um halt, ne, mehr Story, die Überleitung Richtung The War Within. Und das ist nice. Q und A. Ich habe eigentlich keine großartigen Fragen, muss ich zugeben. Ist ja eigentlich alles klar und bekannt, was die vorhaben, was der Plan ist. Man kann halt zwar wieder irgendwelche komischen Fragen stellen, die eh nicht passieren werden. Aber ich bin mal gespannt, was da so die Community fragt. Und nächste Woche werden die dann wohl im Stream auf diese Fragen antworten. Okay, ja, das haben wir gerade alles gesehen. Das kennen wir bereits. Account-wide Everything. Dann das mit den Items hier ist krank. Dass man die dann einfach an andere Charaktere schicken kann. Die World First Raider werden das wieder ausnutzen und dann noch mehr rumschwitzen. Viel Spaß dabei, aber das ist ja nicht der Sinn des Systems. Kann ja Blizzard nichts dafür, wenn die so... ja, wenn das halt so Min-Maxter-Gamer sind und so immer reinschwitzen. PvP removed und World Content wird hinzugefügt bei der Schatzkammer. Das haben wir auch vorhin nebenbei gehört, habe ich auch während des Streams gesagt. 2024 Spring beginnt wahrscheinlich die Alpha. Dragon Ride in all zones and Patch 10.2.5 habe ich auch währenddessen alles gesagt. Ich denke, das Wichtigste habe ich mit erwähnt gehabt und auch übersetzt für euch ins Deutsche. Ich hoffe, ich habe da einen guten Job einigermaßen gemacht. Machst du in Zukunft mehr Videos und Streams, wo man dich auch sehen kann? Vielleicht. Danke für den Stream. Gerne, gerne. Finde ich sehr gut, dass es schneller neue Erweiterungen geben wird. Das haben die jetzt nicht offiziell bestätigt, aber das ist halt meine Vermutung, meine Spekulation. Das hört sich so an. Das bedeutet schneller mehr Content. Mir reicht auch eine Erweiterung pro Jahr mit M2 großen Patches. Ja, wie gesagt, ist aber nur eine Vermutung, ne? Nur eine Spekulation. Ist nicht offiziell bestätigt, dass es mehr Erweiterungen gibt. Nur das, finde ich halt, kommt so ein bisschen so rüber. Es gibt dann wahrscheinlich nur in The War Within 11.1 und 11.2. Ich denke mal, die werden dann jetzt so weiterfahren mit dieser Philosophie. Vielleicht gibt es auch nur 11.1, kann natürlich auch sein. Schauen wir mal, wird auf jeden Fall spannend. Also die World Soul Saga, die Weltenseele Saga, ist auf jeden Fall so ein bisschen, ja, eine neue Ära von WoW. Haben sie auch gesagt gestern. Man kann nicht mehr wirklich auf die Sachen quasi, die früher passiert sind, jetzt drauf gucken, weil jetzt wird alles anders. Wird spannend. Gut, ansonsten würde ich sagen, machen wir hier, glaube ich, einfach Schluss. Ich gucke mir jetzt, also ich bin halt hauptsächlich WoW Content Creator und ja, Overwatch 2 kommt jetzt gleich noch, Diablo 4, aber das spiele ich beides nicht. Community Night ist vielleicht spannend, schaue ich mir dann vielleicht einfach selber so nebenbei an. Aber ich werde jetzt erstmal wieder offline gehen. Ich bedanke mich fürs Zuschauen. Wenn es euch gefallen oder geholfen hat, gerne noch ein Like dalassen, würde mich freuen. Danke auch fürs Zuschauen, für den Support. Und ansonsten wird spannend. Jetzt die kommenden Tage kommen auch meine ganzen M-Plus-Guides für 10.2 raus, für Dragonflight Season 3. Also da gerne reinschauen, wenn ihr gut vorbereitet in die neuen Mythisch Plus Dungeons starten wollt von der Dragonflight Season 3. Ansonsten, ja, ich bin raus für heute. Ich wünsche noch einen schönen Abend. Haut da rein. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao, ciao.
You're here to tell me we don't get pocket to hide. Is that it?
You needed time. We stayed away. But time by itself heals nothing.